Hey guys, I have another prophecy-based video for you. This time I'm going to share the prophecy of Mother Shipton and some evidence that her prophecy is speaking of Comet ISON. So first, here's a bit of background information on Mother Shipton. She was born in 1488 and died in 1561, which is also around the same era as Nostradamus. She is said to have been an English soothsayer, or fortune teller, and prophetess. The first publication of her prophecies appeared in 1641, 80 years after her death. I'm not going to read the entire prophecy, but I will add a link below and really encourage you to check it out, as there are some very accurate verses which describe events of the 20th century. The following verses are quite graphic and doomy, but I want you to focus on the recurring object in the sky and the renewal and purification of the earth, and how it relates to the other information I have shared with you from my other videos. Here is the prophecy. For those who live the century through, in fear and trembling this shall do. Flee to the mountains and the dens, to bog and forest and wild fens. For storms will rage and oceans roar, when Gabriel stands on sea and shore. And he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds die, and new be born. A fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before this earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and frightened be, for the 6th heralds in this prophecy. For 7 days and 7 nights, man will watch this awesome sight. The tides will rise beyond their ken, to bite away the shores, and then the mountains will begin to roar, and earthquakes split the plain to shore. And flooding waters rushing in will flood the land with such a din that mankind cowers in muddy fen and snarls about his fellow men. He bares his teeth and fights and kills and secrets food in secret hills. And ugly in his fear he lies to kill marauders, thieves and spies. Man flees in terror from the floods, and kills and rapes, and lies in blood. And spilling blood by mankind's hands will stain and bitter many lands. And when the dragon's tail is gone, man forgets, and smiles, and carries on to apply himself too late, for mankind has earned deserved fate. His masked smile, his false grandeur, will serve the gods their anger stir, and they will send the dragon back to light the sky. His tail will crack upon the earth and rend the earth, and man shall flee king, lord, and serf. But slowly they are rooted out, to seek diminishing waterspout, and men will die of thirst before the oceans rise to mount the shore, and the lands will crack and rend anew. You think it strange, it will come true. And in some far-off distant land, some men, oh such a tiny band, will have to leave their solid mount, and span the earth, those few to count, who survive this, and then begin the human race again. But not on land already there, but on beds stark, dry, and bare. Not every soul on earth will die, as the dragon's tail goes sweeping by. Not every land on earth will sink, but these will wallow in stench and stink of rotting bodies, of beast and man, of vegetation crisped on land. But the land that rises from the sea will be dry and clean, and soft and free of mankind's dirt, and therefore be the source of man's new dynasty. And those that live will every fear the dragon's tail for many year. But time erases memory. You think it strange, but it will be. And before the race is built anew, a silver serpent comes to view, to spew out men of life unknown, to mingle with the earth now grown cold from its heat, and these men can enlighten the minds of future man. To intermingle and show them how to live and love, and thus endow the children with the second sight, a natural thing so that they might grow graceful, humble, and when they do, the golden age will start anew. The dragon's tail is but a sign for man's fall and man's decline. And before this prophecy is done, I shall be burned at the stake, at one. My body singed and my soul set free. You think I utter blasphemy. You're wrong. These things have come to me. This prophecy will come to be. The first thing that stands out for me is the old worlds die and new be born. If you have watched my video on the 4 Hopi worlds, you will know that I presented evidence that there seems to be a purification process every 13,000 years, or half a great age. We are at that point in time now as the Mayans calculated the beginning of the next cycle at the 21st of December 2012. The prophecy goes on to speak of a golden age where man will live and love and be enlightened and endowed with the second sight. This, I feel, is a reference to the time of Zep Tepi, when we once again have divine connection to our Creator and our ethereal selves. The reference to the silver serpent will probably be linked to ETs by most, but I think it is connected to the ethereal plane. The next important aspect of this prophecy is the fiery dragon that will cross the sky. A dragon or serpent seen in the sky at the end of time is a common cross-culture theme. Again, I've presented evidence in my previous videos that a celestial object will be seen at the time of purification, with a comet being the most likely candidate. The interesting thing about this description is that it states it will cross the sky 6 times before the earth will die, and the 6th heralds in the prophecy. At first I thought it was referring to a comet being seen for 6 days, but the next part mentions it being seen for 7 days and nights. Then it occurred to me that maybe this could be a cyclical object. By now you should realize that I think ISON is the object mentioned in these end-time prophecies. So the question relating to this prophecy is ISON a recurring comet, and is there evidence to suggest it has visited our skies at least 5 other times? I'm going to link a 2-part video series by YouTube user EnvyLife904 that shows compelling evidence that a cyclical comet returns every 333 years. A very interesting number. Using Comet ISON in 2013 as a starting point, there was a great comet in 1680, 333 years ago. It was apparently visible during the day. If we go back another 333 years, we find that Comet Negra in 1347 and mass casualties caused by the Black Death and accounts of other earth-changing events. Professor Mike Bailey's book, New Light on the Black Death, The Cosmic Connection, discusses the possibility that Comet Negra was the cause of the plague. Documents of the time speak of earthquakes, tidal waves, rains of fire, foul odors, strange colors in the sky, mists, and even dragons. 333 years prior to 1347 is 1014. While there is no official record of a comet, there is evidence of a large-scale tsunami, which devastated parts of England and the east coast of America, which has been dated to 1014. Most researchers attribute this to a celestial influence. I will link an article below. Going further back in time makes it harder to find official documentation of a comet in 681 and 348 AD. But an interesting date pops up when we go back further, 15 AD. This is the date attributed to the birth of Christ and the Star of Bethlehem. Remember the Bible prophesies the return of Christ during the end times. We just happen to have a comet this year which seems to be linked to the Star of Bethlehem and also seems to connect to other prophecies I have shared. Just to be clear, I don't believe the birth and return of Christ is referring to a physical person. As presented in the Mystery Teaching series, the return of Christ is the return of the divine energy from Orion transmuted through our sun. So there is evidence to suggest ISON is a recurring object and could be what the Mother Shipton prophecy is talking about. The prophecy speaks of earthquakes, volcanoes, and flooding, all of which can be attributed to magnetic and gravitational forces of a celestial body. As we know, ISON is supposed to swing around the sun late this month. Could this be what is meant by this verse of the prophecy? And when the dragon's tail is gone, man forgets and smiles and carries on to apply himself too late, for mankind has earned deserved fate. His masked smile, his false grandeur, will serve the gods their anger stir, and they will send the dragon back to light the sky. His tail will crack upon the earth and rend the earth, and men shall flee king, lord, and serf. Is the return of the dragon ISON's path, as it swings back around the sun on its way out of our solar system? Lighting the sky and a cracking tail seem to suggest an electrical event. Remember, the reports of Mars interacting with ISON, and according to Professor James McCanney, forming a coma. The Earth will also pass through ISON's debris trail mid-January, so it is possible we may see similar events as described in the comet of 1347. Well guys, that's it for this video. I know the Mother Shipton prophecy paints a very gloomy picture about our possible future, but I still maintain my belief that the physical tribulations presented in these prophecies are only part of the picture. There is something much more profound on an ethereal level that occurs during these times of purification. That's the purpose of these videos. Not to elaborate and try to predict doomsday, but give you understanding and clarity of who you are, and, if these events come to pass, a sense of calmness, knowing that it is all divinely designed. Thanks guys, I'll catch you later.